Okay, so this is just a video where I'm gonna make up a couple of different Pythagorean theorem word problems. I want you to make up one of your own, all right? So just think about something in the world that you might have seen that is triangular, or something in the world you might create that is triangular. I thought of things like building, right? So say I wanted to do something like build a triangular sandbox that would fit in a corner of my yard. Or say I want to build a table and I need a support structure at the corner. Or I thought about, because I sew stuff, I thought about what if I wanted to make a quilt that was made of triangles, and I wanted the triangles to be certain lengths on the side, and I needed to know, how much to cut. Or I know how far across I want it to be, but I needed to know what one of the sides was going to measure. All right, so the idea here is that you, and I know you don't want to, because, nobody wants to be creative if we can help it. We just want to get the work done and move on with our lives. But, think about something that you might actually use this for, because there are situations in real life where people do use Pythagorean theorem. My father, for example, builds furniture, and he has had to use Pythagorean theorem before in order to determine measures of things. I have had to use Pythagorean theorem before in my sewing. So it's not a mathematical concept that people never ever use. Now, that doesn't mean lots of people use it, but people do use it. It's not something that is, there are certain, I love you math, but there are certain things in math that you're not going to see a whole lot of in real life. And Pythagorean is something that I think can be helpful. So I'm not going to solve it. I might do the setup for it, but let me think. So let's see. We'll say Frank is building a sandbox, a triangular sandbox. He knows that he wants one side to be 8 feet, and he wants a hypotenuse of 13 feet. How long must his other side be? And you don't have to get super fancy with your words. If you are struggling with a way to describe it, use leg and hypotenuse. So here's what I'm going to require from you. You're going to be required to write the problem. You're going to be required to draw the problem, and then you're going to be required to solve the problem. So if you want to pick easy ones, that's fine. Don't just go on the internet and get one, because I will be searching to see if you just copied it from the internet, because I know how to do that. You can go on the internet and get some ideas, but if you are going to borrow from the internet for certain things, make sure you change it enough so that it becomes your own. So don't just go copy a problem, okay? All right. So here's the wall, right? And he wants one side of it to be 8 feet. So here's my 8 feet. He wants it to go across the yard in a hypotenuse at 13 feet. And then he needs to know then how far should it go on this other wall. All right, so now it's set up, right? Here's my sandbox, here's my 8 feet side, here's my 13 feet hypotenuse, and then what I would do is I would go ahead, I'd label each side, and then I would solve this. Now, don't be surprised if you don't get whole numbers, and that's totally okay. I shouldn't get a whole number here. I should end up with 8 squared plus b squared equals 13 squared. That gives me 64 plus b squared equals 169. I'll go ahead and subtract that. And I know that's not going to come out nicely because 100 is the perfect square. So this is going to be a little over 10. But I would just go ahead and plug it into my calculator. Sorry. The square root of 105 gives me about 10.25 feet. Right, so if I knew that I wanted to build this sandbox and I wanted it to fit 2 of those dimensions, I could use Pythagorean to find that third side. Not really dimension, because, we're not talking dimensions here, but the third side. If I know what the 2 measurements I want are, and I need to figure out what my third measurement is, I could. Now, you don't have to be a building. Like I said, it could be sewing. You could do a really basic shadow problem, right? So you could do, for example, how far you're standing from the building, and you know how long your line of sight is, how tall is the building, and you could do a Pythagorean that way. Really anything you can think of that has triangles in it. I would recommend that that's what you do. If you search the internet for some advice, that's okay. But once again, do your own problem. All right? If you don't, I will know and I will find out and you will not get credit. All right? So you can, you can borrow a little bit, but make your own. All right? You're smart enough to do that. And I'm not asking you a whole lot and you're going to get geometry credit for this. So get it together. Okay? All right. So I will talk to you later. If you have questions, come to my office hours. If you need help with anything, ask, email me, send me a remind, send me a message in classroom, wherever. All right. And I will talk to you guys later.